Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fantasy Insiders Television. I'm Davis Maddock. I hate my co-hosts, Dan Gaspar, Mr. Tuttle05. He's one of the worst people I've ever met in our industry. Endlessly infuriating. I'm slightly more of a fan of Derek Carty, also of FantasyInsiders.com. It is Wednesday, August 6, 2014. We're sponsored by FantasyElite, the fantasy app that you can get on the what store, David?
App Store.
Nailed it. We're talking about a little bit shorter of a slate than we were last night. I hope everyone had a good night. We gave out some pretty good advice on the show yesterday. I think we gave out some winners. Everyone got to see Javier Baez's first major league home run in extra innings, winning the game for the Cubs. That was pretty great. Yeah, he's awesome. He just doesn't want to do anything but hit home runs. That's pretty fun. I'm drafting against Derek right now. I guess before we go, we should start. I haven't even looked. Is there any weather games, Dan?
I haven't even looked that closely. That was quite the nice segmented intro and segue into weather. I enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm looking at the weather right now. I don't think there's a whole lot. It looks like some potential rain in St. Louis, kind of towards the second hour of that game. But that's really the only thing that's popping up right now.
Well, that sucks because stacking against Shelby Miller is always fun because he's so bad. Shelby Miller is definitively the worst. Okay.
Just like Jimmy Nelson, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Nelson also the worst. I mean, if we want to be results-based, we can say that Jimmy Nelson was a good play, or we can live in reality and say that there's really no scenario outside of a GPP where he should have been used over Dallas Keuchel, who...
Oh, no, I completely agree with that.
Hey, Davis, did Tuttle play you on FanDuel with the Jimmy Nelson lineup last night?
I don't know. Let me go pull up my FanDuel history and see what the score was.
Okay,
I just dominated you.
I will tell you what the score is.
Say it out loud, Davis.
It was win versus loss in favor of the Jimmy Nelson team.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I made money on every site last night.
Except you didn't make money against Jimmy Nelson.
I can't believe you took one of my games, dude.
Okay, if we're being honest, I took one of your draft day games, but I lost.
Dave gave me the idea.
Oh, yep, Carlos Gomez dong. That's why you beat me. That
was a nappy play.
I got
number 3 overall yesterday.
Yeah, I got 2.2 points out of my outfield. You got about 14 points out of your outfield.
Yeah, I was beating you, Davis, on draft day last night until the Arenado late dong, because I had Beltran Gomez in my lineup.
Then what about the Javi dong?
Oh, we both had him.
Well, I mean, you lost, so that's really all that matters, right?
Oh, well, if you're being results based.
I mean, you guys can take my. I mean, if we're being real, you guys can keep taking my games, and we'll keep a running tally, and we'll see how that ends for you guys.
Well,
like they're out there. I'm still gonna post my games every day.
Okay, you got it. I'm only gonna take the games whenever you're like against a player that's a decent play.
Yeah.
I will always be against a player that's a decent play because you guys will tilt me into it.
Oh, so it's our fault that you're being irrational.
I mean, Baez was a horrible play last night too, right?
Yeah, I mean
because Mike Trout went 0 for 3 in his debut.
Yeah. I mean, Javi Baez actually was on DraftKings probably a pretty terrible cash game play. Like if you really think about it, because guys like that, we just went through like this whole big thing of like talking about how you shouldn't take power only guys in cash games. He came out, debuted in his first game, he was 4K. And everything that was said about him as a prospect was true last night. I mean, he was up there just taking hacks. I think he struck out his first 3 at bats. So, I mean, it was pretty hilarious. I guess we should probably talk about today. Pitching is gross. Hitting is also kind of gross because you don't really want to take Rockies against Arrieta. But I think the thing that most people are probably going to struggle with is starting pitching. Who do you want? Like, I don't want any of these guys. I guess maybe Ventura against Arizona, who like hardly has anybody left, but he's not striking as many dudes out. There's Doug Fister, who's obviously super safe every time he takes the mound, and then if you're a gambling man, the option is Danny Salazar versus a very watered down version of the Cincinnati lineup. I think you and I are on the same sort of guys, Dan.
Yeah, we were kind of talking a little bit about it in chat with Steve prior to the show. And I personally think it's kind of a two-tiered night where I think Salazar, Fister, and Giordano are significantly the higher end of the options. And then you kind of go down to guys like Jeff Locke, Giovanni Gallardo, Schumacher, or Maker, however it is pronounced. And I actually think Arrieta is also in that second tier, although his price isn't that attractive based on matchup.
Yeah. If you had to choose out of those three guys, who are you leaning with right now? I know that obviously it's subject to change coming on new information game time, but who would you
for just like a FanDuel cash game?
Yeah.
I think for me, and this is something else that we talked about too before the show, and I think it's a good point. For me, it'd be Salazar. I think all these guys have risks involved with them, but I think when that's the case, you're going with the guy that can kind of himself out of letting up 4 runs. He can still pay off his value if he lets up 4 runs because he strikes so many guys out, and that's kind of the guys you're looking for on FanDuel. You don't want to roster a guy like Jeff Locke on FanDuel who doesn't have high strikeout potential.
If he gives up 3 earned runs, it's over for you.
Exactly. So, and I think that's really kind of just a game strategy that you want to take into consideration on FanDuel. You need those guys that have high strikeout upside so they can bail themselves out if they let up their earned runs.
Yeah, I mean, just to give everyone an idea, when Clayton Kershaw had the 15 strikeout no-hitter with the Hanley error, he had 28 FanDuel points. So, that sounds like a lot, but, an average 12 strikeout game over 7 innings with a win is 20 FanDuel points. So, the strikeouts are really what's important. Those are really what you're focusing on FanDuel. On DraftKings, it's a little different because, you get subtracted points for hits and walks, and you get all sorts of different bonuses on DraftKings. But on FanDuel, you're really looking at high strikeout pitchers. Out of the 3 of those guys, who are you looking at, Derek? Salazar, Fister, and Ventura.
It's really not a good night, especially for one-pitching sites like FanDuel, but it's tough. I think I go Salazar, as much risk as there is with him. His command is still a little spotty, so in that ballpark, all he has to do is just misplace a couple pitches and his night is over. So it's I still think he's the best play, though, but I may just avoid FanDuel tonight because I don't trust any of these guys.
Oh, you got to get some action on FanDuel, bro. What are you doing? You can't not play, Derek. I didn't know that was a
You
thing.
can not play. It's perfectly acceptable to not play when you're not comfortable.
I didn't even know people did that, honestly. Does it feel like as the season is starting to wind down that the short slates are getting grosser and grosser? I mean, it's obviously because starting pitchers are really subject to injury, so guys like Jose Fernandez that we were taking every 5 days when they took the mound are obviously not pitching, and Danny Salazar was in the minors for a while and he's back, and Ventura was hurt for a while and he's back. So we're sort of picking through the scrap heap of starting pitchers today. I guess Sonny Gray is going right now, and Julio Teheran's getting beat up by the Mariners right now. So what probably the options we would have taken on this night slate are getting raked over the coals right now.
Yeah, it's basically the exact opposite of when we did our Monday show. Monday we had a ton of pitching options and the hitting options were just horrible. And today it's kind of the opposite where the pitching options are terrible, but a lot of the higher end hitting options actually have decent matchups.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we got to talk more about the starting pitchers. I think we should definitely note home environment does not necessarily, or the pitching environment does not favor Salazar, nor does it favor Ventura. Ventura's throwing in Chase Field. It's a pretty hard park to pitch at, and Salazar's big problem is home runs, and Great American Ballpark is the number 1 home run aiding and abetting park in all of baseball. Fortunately, there's maybe 2 guys in the Cincinnati lineup right now who actually can hit major league home runs. I mean,
Yeah.
Jay Bruce has the gnarly cold flag. I guess I don't know.
He did hit one yesterday, but he's still just been so awful. Mesoraco's a legitimate threat. Frazier's been cold, even though he's a pretty good player. And Billy Hamilton, I mean, it's not like he's a real power threat.
I do actually sort of like Hamilton in cash games, though, because Salazar is so wild. like there's definitely a good chance he puts Hamilton on for free a couple times, and Hamilton can get some steals and stuff like that.
Jan Gomes is pretty good at throwing guys out, though. Not that it matters a whole lot when you're as fast as Hamilton, but I mean, it's not like he's been an incredibly efficient base stealer, so that's something to keep in mind with him.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, what do you guys think about that strategy in general? You know, I sort of at the beginning of daily baseball, I thought you can never take a hitter against your pitcher. It's terrible. But like, you know, Billy Hamilton's strengths match up exactly with Danny Salazar's weakness. And on like draft day and DraftKings, where you can play Billy Hamilton at shortstop, you know, there aren't a lot of great shortstop options today. Jose Reyes is really expensive. Starlin Castro, Josh Rutledge, and Baez all don't have the platoon. So what do you think about taking Salazar on DraftKings and then taking Hamilton at shortstop? Like, do you never do that? Is that acceptable in cash games? Dan?
I think it's acceptable. I don't think tonight it's. I mean, you have an 11-game slate tonight. There's options out there. The shorter slates, like maybe if you played this morning where there were only 4 games going, I can see it. I mean, my thing is, you're taking a pitcher. Yeah, you're limiting the pitcher's upside if you're taking someone against him. But if you're rostering a pitcher, you're not expecting a perfect game out of him every night, anyways, unless it's Clayton Kershaw.
Unless it's Clayton Kershaw.
So I mean, there's a negative stigma to it, but I don't think it's really that bad of a strategy play.
Yeah, especially in cash games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess we should probably talk about Doug Fister, since he is like the most expensive starting pitcher tonight, and then why we don't seem that big on using him. I mean, it's just he doesn't strike anybody out. So on FanDuel, you're really paying for safety that doesn't even necessarily exist against a Mets team that does strike out. That's their weakness, but they also are a really high variance team, and they can hit the ball pretty far when they do make contact.
They're also really left-handed. Like, all their good hitters are lefties. Granderson and Murphy and Duda's just been on fire. So
yeah, they just called up Neuenhuis as well.
Yeah, it's not like he's that
mind
good.
Fister, though.
You don't mind Fister?
I think he's probably going to slot in as a starting pitcher for me in DraftKings. I'm not sure. I mean, we kind of went over the reason why I don't know if we'd start him on FanDuel, but I do think he's a relatively safe option.
I mean, on DraftKings, where sort of his score gets buoyed by the fact that he doesn't put guys on for free, that he gets a lot of ground balls that turn into double plays and stuff like that. I think he's a lot better play on DraftKings, where, I mean, it's honestly rare to start where he doesn't go like at least 6 innings. So I definitely think he's probably more of an option on DraftKings and Draft Day than he is on FanDuel. I mean, I sort of like that. I like sites that either penalize or reward you for not allowing runners on. I mean, the scoring system for every sport really on FanDuel is super simplistic. So it sort of makes every point more valuable on FanDuel. All right, do you guys want to talk about any more of these pitchers, or are we good?
I don't want to talk any more about pitching than we have to.
You guys want to talk about Jeff Locke and his awesome sinker slider combo? I don't even know if he throws those pitches. All I know is that Giancarlo is going to hit one 1,000,000 miles off of him tonight, roughly.
It's very possible.
I mean, BVP, he did it like a month ago, so...
Yeah, Locke throws a sinker, but he also throws a four-seamer that actually gets some pretty good life. And he has a changeup and a curve, which are like pretty much like neutral platoons pitches. So even though the Marlins are very right-handed, it's not like he matches up particularly weakly against righties, and the team isn't that good in general. So yeah. I don't think Locke is an awful play tonight.
Okay, well, let's talk about some hitters, because oh god, so many burps. Hitting is actually pretty interesting tonight. I think that, and I definitely know that there's one sort of off the radar stack that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. But I think the first question we should answer is what to do with Jake Arrieta, because, and it's always sort of hard to do this with pitchers and cores. Like, obviously, you're not going to load up, against Zach Greinke or Clayton Kershaw when they come to cores. But when sort of a more middling talent like Jordan Zimmerman, Jake Arrieta, Steven Strasburg, it's hard to be like, okay, well,
Strasburg's a middling talent, really.
Oh my gosh!
Of all people to say it.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
He's not.
The entire first 4 months of the year, Davis.
Listen,
Hashtags Team Strasburg. It's Strasburg Day, guys.
listen.
Put
I'm
on your bunny
still.
slippers and run downstairs. Pick out the presents under the tree. Steven Strasburg's in one of them.
I'm still Team Strauss, but the not even just in DFS. Like if you go look in the entire world of baseball, people are starting to turn against him because he gives up such hard contact. But that's not what's not what we're talking about right now. It's hard to take in general, it's hard to take hitters against really good pitchers, no matter where it is, even if it is at Coors. Now, Coors is sort of in like its own bubble of creating good hitters, so it's different. How do you typically approach that, Dan? When not an elite guy, but someone like Arrieta, with a mid-twos ERA and peripherals to back it up, pitches in Coors.
I mean, it's considerate. I mean, they're in consideration. It's not. Whereas I wouldn't target them in a normal, maybe if they're pitching in their home park or something like that, it's certainly something that I'll take into consideration. I'm not sure I'll have a lot of Rockies guys just because, like a site like DraftKings, you're obviously paying the premium for those guys. So while the matchup might not be horrible, it's also not great because of the price you have to pay for the guys. I mean, I'm not going to completely avoid them, but I'm less likely to take them, I guess, still.
Yeah, and some of them present really good value. Like, Willen is still cheap on FanDuel. Charlie Blackmon is $3,000 on FanDuel. So these are guys that are going to fit into your lineup without fighting it too hard. The problem, especially with guys who don't have the platoon against Arrieta, is that the slider is so good that guys who don't have the platoon just have a really hard time making contact. Is that right, Derek?
Yeah, slider's definitely a pitch you want to use against same-handed guys, and his slider's really good. So,
yeah, and that's the reason that he's become a major league. But is a slider like one of those sinking pitches that has trouble working in Coors?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Slider's a decent pitch for Coors. A curve is a really bad pitch for Coors.
Jake Arrieta sleeping starting pitching option tonight on FanDuel.
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, I think I do think he's in play, just because pitching's that bad. I mean, any guys you're looking at has a negative about him tonight, and Arrieta's been that good this year that I think he's an option. I mean, it's the same thing as Salazar. It's a horrible environment to pitch in, but everything else lines up okay for him.
And I mean, this is not the Colorado Rockies lineup that they began the season with. This is a patchwork Colorado Rockies lineup. It's a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
They got Ben Paulson. No, I guess Morneau's back, but yeah, things are different. Okay, so outside we talked about the Rockies. Number one team to stack still the Cubes, Dan.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think they are probably the top stack looking through things. I like Toronto as well, but the Cubs are you're gonna get some cheaper bats, and not that you need cheap bats tonight necessarily, but I think the Cubs are still the number one stack.
You on board with that, Derek?
Yeah, I am. I mean, Jordan Lyles isn't a terrible pitcher, but it's just not a favorable environment for him. So I think some Cubs bats are gonna look good in your lineup tonight.
Yeah. What do you think about the Tigers? Neither one of you mentioned the Tigers. They are so crazy good against left-handed pitching. They were the first team that jumped out to me. I think that your system kind of likes Capuano, Derek.
Yeah, it likes Capuano's one of those weird guys where he's been injured. He hasn't played a whole lot the past few years, so it doesn't quite know what to make of him. I think it thinks he's a little better than maybe he is at this point in his career. But
Sort of like
he was a good underrated pitcher for years. So, but this year he just really hasn't looked that good. So I don't mind a Tiger stack. The other thing is that Yankee Stadium, people think of it as like this big hitters park, but it's much more favorable for lefties than it is for righties. So it's not as big of a park boost as most people I think assume it will be.
Victor Martinez about to just come up there and bat left-handed versus Capuano so we can get the short porch.
Honestly, you never see guys do that, but it's something that they should probably consider. I mean, I don't know how the numbers exactly would shake out, but
the reason most of them do it is just so that they can't get loogied, though, right? Like, that's sort of the tactical reason for it.
For what?
for like switch hitting being a desirable trait is so that a loogie can't come in and retire them, right?
Yeah, and I mean they're always going to have the platoon advantage.
Yeah.
Should they so choose. Switch hitting is definitely preferable to having a dedicated hand in this.
Except, like, I heard this someone say about Chase Headley when he was in that miserable cold streak was when your swing is wrong, it's harder as a switch hitter to get your swing right because you have two different swings to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel when I have to stop talking about this stuff and I can start talking about touchdowns and red zone conversions. Like,
Stop it.
I can
go away, Davis.
See it in the distance, you guys.
And we can talk about players saying they're 100% and ready to go.
Yep.
Off of injuries, and how they're a good play because of that. Anyways, we got a question in chat for Cardi. Somebody wants a scouting report on David Buchanan.
Oh,
he's bad. He's not a good pitcher. Yeah, he's not good.
So maybe Stackstros tonight.
I think the system actually kind of likes him.
Grossman, Singleton, Corcoran batting sixth. That you're definitely getting a discount on him batting sixth because normally he bats eighth when he's in the lineup. So,
yeah, there's not a lot to like about him. I mean, he throws 92. He doesn't get a whole lot of life with it. He's got a sinker that doesn't sink that much. I don't know. He's got a decent looking changeup, I guess. Maybe a good breaking ball. But and a cutter, which is always a good pitch for a guy to have. So like he can give hitters different looks, but he's just not a guy who's going to profile as anything more than like a back end of the rotation starter.
Yeah, I would like to go ahead.
That Astros lineup just looks horrible though too. Like look at it, David. I mean, even you, Davis, can admit that lineup
it's bad without Springer and without Castro. It's a different lineup. You're not gonna
no DH in there either.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that. This is not the best Astros team that they can field. I mean, the best Astros team that they can field is 9 right-handed batters with Springer and Corcoran catching versus the left-handed pitcher. That's when you want to do Stackstros. I don't think tonight is a Stackstros night. The one team I will say that is going to be super under-owned relative to the upside that I think they have tonight is the Boston Red Sox. Shelby Miller's just not a good pitcher. I know that people want to think he is. And like I say this almost every time he pitches, and like he's had like a couple decent starts this year, and like seasonal baseball guys because he had so many wins last year are continuing to propagate the myth that he's a good starting pitcher.
Well, it's also because he comes with such a high pedigree, and his stuff is good. It's just he hasn't been able to do anything with it this year. Like he's just been awful.
Is it just no control? Can't get guys out when he's ahead in the count? Like what is it?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of inexperience and pitchability. It's a matter of command and control. I mean, eventually, he could come out of this and wind up as a top of the rotation guy. But right now, I have no problem playing against him because he just can't throw the ball over the plate. He can't attack hitters the way he needs to in order to get them to strike out. And his repertoire doesn't lend itself to ground balls where that can kind of bail him out a little bit.
Yeah. On that,
I will say that lineup that Boston's running out with only 2 lefty bats with Nor Ortiz because of no DH. I see your reasoning behind thinking that the Red Sox hitters could be decent plays, but I personally don't think it sets up is a good spot for them.
They're not cash game plays. Like I'm not like taking Cespedes and Mookie Betts in my cash game lineups, but I do think that they are a pretty good GPP option tonight, just because Shelby. The problem is that the Cardinals bullpen is pretty good, I believe. Speaking one question that reminded me: is Tony Cingrani going to make it back to the rotation at any point, Derek, or is that a pipe dream?
I think it's a pipe dream, but it would be nice. I mean, stacking righties going into Great American against him was nice.
Yes, I would like that to return. Okay, all right, let's do the damn thing. Let's talk about some positional players. All right, catcher. For me on FanDuel, because you can spend a night, like I think you just kind of play Victor Martinez. He's hashtag locked in right now, and he's gonna have the platoon advantage no matter what. But I believe that he's better against left-handed pitching, and that lineup in general is better against left-handed pitching, so he's gonna get hopefully more at bats with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. I'm still not quite sure what to make of Capuano. I want to get a look at him. Maybe I'll watch some of the game tonight. But I think Buster Posey's another really good option. He's getting a big park boost tonight. Giovanni Gallardo has become basically a league average pitcher with his strikeouts falling. And even though he doesn't have the platoon, I mean, the park shift is just enormous going from AT&T to Miller.
Yeah. You on board with that, Dan?
Yeah, I think it's actually a fairly deep position tonight. I think Victor Martinez is far and away the top play, but I think, like Derek pointed out, I do like Posey. I don't mind Lucroy from the same game. Mesoraco, even though I like Salazar, Mesoraco is obviously going to be an okay option. Diana Navarro.
Yeah, especially as a GPP guy, I love Mesoraco because all it's going to take is for Salazar's command to slip for one pitch and it's just gone.
Just
and
one.
Russell Martin finds himself in a good hitting position.
Yeah,
I mean,
batting third.
So I do think Martinez is the top play, but I think it's a little different than most nights where there's just not a whole lot of good options. And you even mentioned Carlos Corcoran gets a batting order boost, batting
That's
6
fine.
against Buchanan.
Him and Navarro, I think I'm splitting them on DraftKings. Corcoran, I don't know, like it's Corcoran kind of has this weird thing when you go look at his Fangraphs page. He has sub 100 WOBAs versus both hands of pitching, and he's a switch hitter. But then when you put him in your lineup, he just always seems to do well. So it's completely anecdotal and in no way should be viewed as analysis at all. But
so why is it being spoken?
Because I have some sort of confirmation bias with him where I'm like, oh, I'm so smart for taking Carlos Corcoran. He's going to do so good, and then he does, so then I recommend him again. So maybe you guys should fade him, because he's actually not very good.
There was a Tommy G. There was a Tommy G conversation that we had earlier in this year about Carlos Corcoran. Yeah, man, he's got like a completely anecdotal. He hit a home run one time, and he literally had like one home run from the left-hand side of the plate in the last 2 years.
I think he has 2 home runs this season, and I think he was in my lineup for both of them.
So roster him. So when Davis is on him, you roster him.
Yeah, and I am on him tonight, so whatever that means. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about middle infield. Let's do shortstop first, then do second base, because I do want to talk about Baez tonight, and I want to know if against a righty I should go back to the well. I mean, he did hit the home run last night off of a righty in extra innings, and it's sort of interesting that Coors is just a little bit better than average in terms of home runs, right, Derek?
In terms of home runs per contacted ball, it's not a little above average. It's good. It's not great. But there's a lot more balls that could get put into play in Coors because it has an effect of deflating strikeouts and increasing extra base hits and stuff like that. So on a home run per plate appearance basis, it's still a really good park, but the batter has to make contact with it for it to.
Yeah, and I mean Baez, he did do the striking out thing, and I was listening to the Saris Nick Minnick's Fangraphs podcast yesterday, and they were talking about him and and some of the research that those guys at Fangraphs do sort of puts prospects in buckets in terms of failure rate, and the most optimistic scenario for a player with Baez's profile is a 65% bust rate. That's as optimistic as it gets with his minor league strikeout numbers and his isolated power numbers. So I might just want to ride this power streak while it's a thing.
They were showing Baez on MLB Network a couple nights ago, I think. I was watching it today. And apparently the Cubs brought in Manny Ramirez to work specifically with Baez because his swing, it has so many holes in it and it has so many moving parts. He used to have his hands out here and he has this weird wrist thing he does when he swings. And what Manny did was he basically almost tailored Baez's swing to look a little like his own because there's the way they hit is similar. They both have a leg kick thing going and they rely a lot on that to drive their power. And basically he quieted Baez's hands down. So he has less to think about when he's doing his leg kick.
I don't know what
and basically it's allowing Baez to be more consistent mechanically. So I think even though he's had a history of high strikeout rates, he is making adjustments. So it's not to say he's not going to be a big strikeout guy right away because he probably is, but he is making adjustments and he is looking a little bit better recently than he has at any point in his career.
Yeah. Okay. So that being said, I mean, shortstop just kind of sucks tonight. Like the options are really expensive Jose Reyes. You can take Castro without the platoon advantage, Rutledge without the platoon advantage. Like Jordy Mercer doesn't have the platoon advantage. It's just sort of a weird group of hitters at the shortstop position. Who do you like at the position, Derek?
I think Starlin's probably my top guy tonight, even though he doesn't have the platoon, and even though Lyles is a potentially decent pitcher. I think Starlin matches up well with him, just because of just the big park boost, and because I'm pretty sure Lyles is a sinker ball kind of guy, right? Let me look.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is. And sinkers aren't really good pitches. Isn't really a good pitch for cores.
Yeah. So are you on board with Castro? I mean, like that's just sort of seems to be the guy on FanDuel who works out. I think maybe Adini Hechavarria batting second versus Locke. He's 2.4 on FanDuel. I actually think I might go with him just because whatever, YOLO.
That's the best reason you can ever come up with for setting your DFS lineup.
Yeah. Are you
Shoot you guys, YOLO. Adini Hechavarria. Put him in.
I think
I'm just so phobic about platoon stuff, though.
Okay, so if you want a guy with the platoon, what about Jimmy Rollins, who's a switch hitter, he's always going to have the platoon, and he's up against Brad Peacock tonight, who's not very good at home in Citizens Bank, batting second. I think Rollins is a pretty good option.
The thing is, right now, is I'm spending on outfield, so I'd have to drop down. But I like Jimmy Rollins just fine. I think that.
I mean, he's 32. He's not like he's that expensive. Although he's not Hechavarria level, bad either.
I need to go. I need to go get Ben's scouting hot take on what his swing is like right now. What's your hot take on Jimmy Rollins, Dan?
Well, I can tell you Ben's hot take. I've heard it plenty of times. He's scorching the ball right now.
Oh, he's scorching it.
Jimmy Rollins is scorching the ball. That's Ben's hot take. I've heard it in chat a couple times already this week, within this past week.
Well, I mean,
but I do like Rollins. I like Reyes. I think those might be the top two shortstop options for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that works. All right, let's do second base. Kipnis or Kinsler, Derek?
I think it's Kipnis. It's
hard,
tough.
right?
It's hard, especially with Kipnis's oblique thing that he has going on.
Yeah, you can't count on the power even in GAB right now. Is the problem?
Yeah.
Dan, Kipnis or Kinsler? I'll go
Kinsler.
Yeah, I think it's Kinsler too.
I may reevaluate my stance at some point, but I don't know. I have such a soft spot for Chris Capuano. I really do.
Yeah,
I used to love him. I actually used to love him too. As an ex-Brewer, I was mad when I forget how he left. I think they just didn't re-sign him.
It's not even like he's been that bad this year. Like the biggest concern is that his control, which was always so good, has gone away. But I mean, his xFIP is still 410. His FIP is 373. Like it's not like he's been that bad.
But the Pirates are just, or the Pirates, the Tigers are just so good versus left-handed pitching now.
Yeah. I don't know.
They're just, I think they might be second in weighted runs created plus. I'd have to go pull it up. But all of those dudes, so it's the same reason for wanting to play Victor Martinez, just that you think the team around him is going to score a ton of runs. Kipnis will do like the stealing and run scoring thing, though. Like he can do that on his own in a way that Kinsler won't. Kinsler won't steal anymore.
Honestly, I might prefer Chase Utley to, I don't know.
Old Chutley.
I might prefer Utley to both of them. I don't know. I mean, Utley's in a good spot too. He's got the platoon in a better park than Kinsler. Peacock, we know, is kind of bad. Where Capuano, I still have my reservations. Maybe they're irrational. I don't know.
Joe Panic, though.
Don't forget Joe Panic. Maybe as a punt, actually.
Your boy Jordan gave you a better punt in the chat than Joe Panic.
I don't have chat pulled up.
Jeff Baker.
Yeah. Isn't he batting like fifth today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Derek Well, no, I mean it's horrible. The only thing is PNC Park is just horrible on right-handed bats. I think isn't that true, Derek?
Yep, it is worst park in baseball for right-handed power.
So all those times I stacked right-handed bats against Jeff Locke at home, that like wasn't.
I mean, I wish somebody was there to tell you that wasn't a good idea.
I
But
wish it's.
I remember when you did it with the Brewers, and you're like, "Man, you just gotta stack Jeff Locke, man. You gotta stack against him." I'm like, dude, no.
No, and then Ryan Braun hit 3 of them to the wall, and I was like, "Well, our
why isn't the ball going out?"
Miserable. Baseball is miserable.
Especially when you don't, look at the facts to
Yeah.
make decisions.
Well,
Then it's just horrible.
Well, I just use batting average. I just use batting average.
And win-loss records.
Yeah,
For pitching.
That's what you have to make sure you're slicing it up into like no more than like 3-week chunks, or else you're really just gonna go astray.
Like a dude's batting average versus right-handed pitchers who only throw 2 pitches over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's the way you got to do it.
Yeah. As
Oh my
little
gosh.
as possible.
Oh my gosh. We got
What?
breaking news.
What's the breaking news?
Are we getting a soundbite? Is Kitchen in here?
There's no way Kitchen's going to give us a soundbite. Let's
No.
not be crazy here. And it's really not breaking news. That's very important. It's Cliff Pennington's back in the lineup and batting second.
Oh boy.
For Arizona?
Yeah, $2,200
Honestly,
option on FanDuel.
All of the
Honestly,
Yordanos.
maybe not a terrible punt.
All of the Yordanos.
We kind of got a soundbite.
So good. So good, David Kitchen. So good.
He's just sitting there playing Clash of Clans.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he's done so many raids. Like, he's just sitting there farming elixir and gold right now.
Listen, I am so disappointed in you guys and so upset that this has become such a huge thing. Like, just ridiculous.
Listen, anyone who's listening to this show right now, join Clash of Clans. Hit us up on Twitter. Tell us that you're playing, and we'll like give you an on-air shout out.
No, Davis.
We need a Clash of Clans referral link to be completely honest.
To be completely honest, TBQH, dude, for sure.
Not everyone's like Steve throwing in
hundreds of dollars,
hundies, but no,
Stacks.
I actually was checking out our Facebook feed, and as usual, I got distracted by. Did you see the Pac-Man Jones thing? Ludacris tweeted a picture of Pac-Man Jones. It was like a funny meme type post.
No, stop it.
Meme. But anyway,
The word is mean.
Real Pac-Man
does the
24
same
says,
thing.
"Nice post. Now when I see you, I'm gonna beat your A." Now post that hashtag pussycat. Like, did not take the joke really well. That is so Pac-Man Jones. Pac-Man Jones.
Why is this? Why are we talking? Like,
yeah, well, I don't get what's happening.
I don't understand why we're talking about it.
Because it's fantasy related.
Davis, I think he's trying to throw you a bone and give you a little bit of football action because you've been complaining nonstop about baseball for like the last week.
I shouldn't complain about baseball. It's just like that my brain is like fully transitioned into football mode, and like the Hall of Fame game, dude, like it's real. So
Pac-Man Jones does not still play, by the way, does he?
I don't
he's-
think so. I don't really know defensive players.
But you can play preseason NFL daily fantasy on our sponsor site.
On Elite, yeah. Oh, I'm gonna be playing Mad Cash games, dude. I'm for real about this. It's gonna
Like preseason.
yes. I will be playing.
You have to think there's somewhat of an edge there if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I know.
Compared to
I know.
guys that are just.
Yeah, I know all
If
the
you-
second stringers.
Yeah, if you know second stringers and the team's rotations or whatever.
All right, let's do first base real quick. I mean, it's honestly the shortest conversation at first base in the history of ever because it's Anthony Rizzo. I will hear no other.
Miguel Cabrera begs to differ.
Yeah. Then you play him at third base
Yeah,
On-
on
on-
DraftKings.
and draft day, and you can take both on Elite, and you can play both of them on Fantasy Aces. Shout out Fantasy Aces.
Yep.
So it's just
Completely
Rizzo.
in
though.
agreement with that.
Yeah. Does anyone want to fight about Anthony? You want to fight, Dan?
I don't want to fight.
Okay. All right.
I'd
So
rather
third,
not.
Let me throw out because I guess you're probably gonna have the money to pull it off tonight. But if you want a cheaper guy, I think Teixeira is in a really good spot too.
I think Teixeira is always in a really good spot. Like I think he's one of those hitters who's permanently in a pretty good spot.
When he's at home against a weak pitcher, he is. So
Does
Yeah.
I
but
mean?
yet he's still like 3,100, 3,200 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, he's cheap.
You know who else is in a really good spot, and actually this whole team is in a better spot than Davis's Boston Red Sox spot. That would be the opposition. The St. Louis Cardinals are going to put up more runs than the Red Sox tonight,
I mean,
and
Joe
that
Kelly
means Fat Matt is in a good spot.
Joe Kelly and Shelby Miller are best friends. They were best men at each other's weddings, so they're definitely both going to be juiced up tonight. Going to be juiced up, throwing their juiced up fastballs.
Wait, was that an actual fact though?
Yeah, that actually.
The wedding?
Yes.
I think that was probably the first fact you've actually thrown out today. And it had to do with weddings. So we got that going for us.
Dude, don't tell me 2 days in a row. No one wants to see this.
All right, I'm done. Going on.
Joe Kelly's not a bad pitcher. Let me just throw that out there. Joe Kelly's not a guy you want to stack against, like even play against. Like I think there's a lot better guys to play against tonight.
All the Cardinals pitchers are like the most mediocre pitchers ever because they just have to throw so many sinkers. There's just like the Cardinals just fap to ground balls.
Yeah, but he's still ground balls still help. So he's an average pitcher. Like he's not someone who's gonna necessarily get lit up in the way Johan Pino will or someone like that. Like he's an average pitcher.
That's a name. It's a name, Johan Pino. All right,
I'm just
third
trying to
base.
think of the worst pitcher I can think of, and
As a Eric Bedard is the worst pitcher. Louis Valbuena at third base though on FanDuel, 3,400. Pretty cheap on draft day too as well.
3,400. That seems like a lot for Valbuena on FanDuel. Like I know he's in a good spot tonight, but
It would be a lot if
and he is going to be worth it. But like I was expecting him to be so much cheaper.
yeah, I mean it would be a lot harder to work him in if my starting pitcher wasn't $7,000 on FanDuel. Like a good 50% discount from Clayton Kershaw. So it's pretty easy to do lineups tonight.
I mean, he's hit a home run in 3 of his last 6, so
locked in. He's scorching the ball right now.
Yeah, my hot take is that he scored. I think that legitimately was a Ben hot take in today's hitters write up. I'm almost positive you wrote up Valbuena.
The reason that Ben's takes are so hot all the time is that he doesn't really keep up with everyone else and like what like the current analysis is. Like he just does his own analysis, so he has very little groupthink. Which
is awesome.
It is awesome, but that's why his takes are so hot though.
And this one, okay, here's a hot take from the article. For those of you that don't aren't premium subscribers, you're getting a little peek into some of Ben's hot takes. After struggling through much of July, Valbuena has 3 homers in the last week. It's a great time to find your power stroke as you head into Colorado.
Such a hot take, dude.
Yep.
My keyboard is hot right now. Like my fingers hurt. All right, outfield. I just want to say Brett Gardner because Brett Gardner is locked in right now. Brett Gardner found his stroke.
Nolan.
Yeah, Nolan Reimold actually definitely batting cleanup versus Wei Yin Chen. Nolan Reimold is swinging a hot bat right now.
I didn't realize Reimold was third base eligible, Davis.
Oh, we're doing outfield now.
Yeah, follow along.
Already?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's just Louis Valbuena, dude. I know that you want to give like some like tertiary option that like no one would ever actually play.
Oh wait, yeah, we did.
My tertiary options work out.
Yeah, no, let the man speak.
All right, speak, Derek.
All right, GPP guy Todd Frazier, just because he's got the power. Salazar's command is shaky. Like the legitimate bats in that Reds lineup have to be considered for GPPs. And Carlos Santana, if you have money to spend, which you probably are going to, and you want to spend more on someone who isn't Luis Valbuena, who I agree is a good option.
I think it's Louis Valbuena.
Whatever. Carlos Santana is getting a huge park boost. Matt Latos has not looked good this year. He's still throwing 91. He's not the same pitcher he was. So I think Carlos Santana, if you have money to spend, is the way to go.
Yeah,
I like the Panda too.
And Panda's in a pretty good spot.
Against Gallardo and big park upgrade.
Yeah, I think all of that is fine. Okay, outfield. Brett Gardner though, because he's swinging such a hot bat. Nah,
Gardner's
realistically,
changed up his swing a little bit.
he's super
like
expensive. No, like
yeah, he's too expensive now to really.
if you're paying that much for an outfielder, just take Trout, or Giancarlo. I would recommend Giancarlo, but I understand if people have different. What?
You're always gonna recommend Giancarlo.
What are you calling me a biased analyst? Because that doesn't sound like me, Dan.
Yeah, that would never happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, but for real though, Giancarlo versus left-handed pitching, man, it's not even fair. And he's cheaper than normal. He's only 5,000 on DraftKings right now. I think he's 4.6 on FanDuel. He's super expensive on draft day, but all the starting pitchers there are dirt cheap, so it doesn't really matter. In terms of do you like Chris Coughlin? Does your system like Chris Coughlin, Derek?
It likes him a little bit, not like a crazy amount, but for the price, he's a guy I could see getting put into some optimal lineups.
I really like Rajai Davis leading off versus Chris Capuano, obviously. I also like JD Martinez gets a bump from the 6th spot to the 5th spot with Torrey Hunter getting a day off. Don't hate that. Just getting a little repetitive with the Tigers' love. Obs. Nolan Reimold, though. We already know how Derek feels about Nolan Reimold. Do you like him for 2.9 on FanDuel, Dan?
Yeah.
You about
Yeah,
that
he's
one?
in a hashtag pretty good spot.
Hashtag pretty good spot.
Another guy. I don't know if I have to get on Davis to write him up, but yep. And we do have a blurb on him. David Murphy moved into the 2 spot for tonight against Litos. So what price do we have on Murphy?
29 and 37.
Yeah, so I like him. Huge park upgrade. Going to Great American, batting second, which is also a huge boost
Progressive
for him.
is huge, man. I did not realize how massive Progressive was. Well, it's really just that huge wall in left field, but it's massive. Why do you like Nolan Reimold so much, Derek? Is it just because he just like annihilates left-handed pitching and you always get him for cheap and expert drafts?
It's because I come from season-long leagues where guys who have low batting average and great power are just vastly undervalued. So like guys like Reimold in deep leagues, I just love taking because they're so cheap and because you get like good power from them.
So like how many leagues did you pick up Crush Davis in this year? Like all of them, like all the leagues?
Nah, because everyone was on him this year. But like guys like Mark Reynolds and like Adam Dunn, those kind of guys, I'm like all about.
Oh, you love Adam Dunn. You want to make 3 true outcome babies with Adam Dunn.
Yeah, but like in expert leagues, they're so undervalued in season long.
Yeah, I actually always take Adam Dunn in like OBP leagues because he's not even really a minus there. TBH. All right, let's guarantee some dongs, dudes. Dong it up, Dan.
Miggy.
Under the radar.
Can't you see? Let's go Jimmy Rollins.
Ooh, I like it.
He's scorching.
Scorching the ball. All right, my guaranteed dong is Anthony Rizzo, obviously, and then my under the radar is Javi Baez. Even though I don't really know if it's under the radar, but I feel like it is under the radar enough.
My obvious, I'll take Jose Bautista, and my under the radar, I'll take Teixeira.
Bang bang.
Okay, we got questions in chat. Reimold or Murphy?
Reimold.
Yeah, I think Reimold. Although
That's
Murphy's a little bit better maybe for cash games.
I bet
Reimold's a little boomer busty.
I had that same question in my own lineups, and I went Reimold.
Yeah, I think Reimold. Gomez or Stanton?
Stanton.
I think Gomez.
Derek is so less opinionated than me. It's hilarious.
I think it's really close. I don't know.
He doesn't let bias cloud his opinion.
No, if you go by the numbers, Giancarlo is better. He's better than Carlos Gomez.
We're not arguing that.
I think it's like splitting hairs between those two.
Well, then
We're
go.
not arguing. We're not arguing who's the more talented player. It's who's in the better situation.
Okay, well, John
Neese.
Neese is a better pitcher than Jeff Locke.
Yes.
So Stanton's a better hitter, and Neese is a better pitcher. So it's Stanton.
Gomez is.
Wait, why are we bringing John Neese into the conversation?
Is it not
entirely
Neese
confused
today?
Well, he's pitching, yeah, but not against Carlos Gomez. Ryan Vogelsong is pitching.
Oh my God, I'm an idiot, dude.
But John Neese is a good pitcher.
I definitely was just looking at Baseball Press and got like the colors confused. Like that's 100% what just happened. I got the Giants and the Mets colors confused.
I don't know though. I mean, Danny Salazar is a good pitcher.
The other thing is you got to consider the parks with them. It's not just the hitter versus the pitcher. Like Gomez is in a great park and Stanton is in the worst park for righty power.
Yeah. And continuing on, we got the question: doesn't the whole right-handed bats in PNC apply to Stanton, or do you just throw that out the window when someone has as much power?
Derek actually explained this yesterday.
Yeah, it applies less to Stanton than it does to other players. Like huge power guys, park factors matter less for because they're not hitting as many that are like on the verge of like going over the fence. Like he can crush a ball past any fence, so it matters less for him.
Yeah. Fave number 2 starting pitcher on DraftKings?
Giordano.
Who's the number 1? Like, do we have that settled?
Yeah, I don't think we have number 1 settled.
I'm just doing Giordano, Salazar, and embracing all of the risk. I'm just going right into the skid.
I might go Schumacher, Salazar. I don't know though. It's really just.
And mine might be Fister. I mean.
You're gonna have to
that's a good answer for you.
You're gonna have to nail your hitting tonight, dude.
Yeah, Rajai Rizzo or Pujols Stanton. I think it's the first one for me.
It's the first, easy.
Yeah.
Batista or Stanton, you can't answer, Davis.
What?
Batista or Stanton? Yeah, it's Batista for me too.
Yeah, I actually would take Batista just based off of park factor. I'm not that biased, dude.
DK, do we have a draft?
Just based off park factor? Like, it's not like the Rogers Center is like that much different than Miller Park.
Yeah, but I think Bautista is a better player.
And I think John Neese is a decent pitcher, so for what it's worth. Do we? I love tilting. I'm sorry. That was a low blow. It's just so fun. Do we have a draft? Do either of you have a DraftKings pun of the day?
Yeah, I did have one. Let me pull my lineup up real quick. I thought I had a good one. I mean, Robbie Grossman is still really cheap there, if you're into that sort of thing. I don't know if anyone is into that sort of thing, but I think he is cheap.
I haven't scoured that low, to be honest, just because I don't think it's necessary.
Danny Valencia for $3K. I don't know if that's considered a punt, but that's like the one cheap guy I have. And Corcoran for like 3.6. That's probably not a punt. That's probably out of.
Yeah, I can get down with that.
You can vibe with that?
I can vibe with that.
Michael Martinez. These are just cheap guys. I don't even know if these guys are good. The homie Joe Panic, 2.4. Batting second with the.
Who will always be a cheap play.
Yeah, because
I just don't think. I don't think rosters are good. Yeah,
you're not going to need a punt play tonight. Like,
what if you do the Giancarlo Bats Trout outfield? Then you might need it.
Yeah, but I don't think you should do that.
I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna ship the perfect game or the check swing or whatever.
Well, fine, just do that then.
Hey, are you guys ready for golf sweats this weekend, though?
Well, Clash of Clannings.
Yeah. I shipped you. Do you have the spreadsheet? Yeah, you hit me back.
Regrets tonight? Anybody?
Oh yeah. I mean, my regret is gonna be playing because I think I'm gonna go out before Lions Lock and go to dinner and a movie with my girlfriend, and I'm gonna like look up, and Doug Fister's gonna have like 7 earned runs, and like the Tigers are gonna get like 3 hit by Chris Capuano, and all of those hits are gonna be Alex Avila, and it's just gonna be awful.
Mine is putting so much stake in Danny Salazar in Great American Ballpark.
Most definitely that is. a
Yeah,
mistake.
that was what I was gonna say.
He's
Well,
gonna
that
give
works too.
Either that or thinking that Chris Capuano is better than he actually is.
That is definitely a mistake. I will tell you. If Chris Capuano was good, he wouldn't have been in the Red Sox bullpen, then DFA'd, then starting pitching for someone else.
I want to hear Soccer Dave's regret of the night.
My regret.
It doesn't have to be MLB DFS related.
My regret is going to be shipping out tons of draft boards.
I thought you were gonna say your regret was like upgrading your town hall too soon, so you started getting attacked by clans that were way more powerful than you.
No, I've only checked in my clan once today, so
Yeah, all my builders are busy, so I don't really have anything to do. I think I have war in like 3 hours.
right. But I do have like real life, and I got 2 pallets of draft board tubes, and I had to haul all of them to my shed. So over 500 36-inch by 3-inch cardboard tubes are in my shed right now.
That's gotta hurt the gardening space.
No, I don't have a garden in my shed.
But I'm like the gardening storage. Have you been able to work your green thumb lately?
If you saw my garden, you would understand that disease has set in. I do have some okra growing, but disease has mad set in.
Bro,
did somebody raid your garden?
Yes.
Insects. In real life?
Pablo did it. Yo, hey, kitchen. Drew just texted me and said that I was off camera the entire show. So I don't know where you had the video set up. So thanks. And and 2, I'm about to plant mad gardening stuff tomorrow, I think. So I need some
I
tips.
hate you guys so much. Like, I can't even begin to explain.
Do you not do stuff like that with your girlfriend? Is she just cool watching like MLB TV every night?
May?
Yeah.
I
mean, I'm about to plant some habanero peppers, dude.
Why are you planting peppers right now? It's August.
Because that's what I bought at the gardening store, dude. Because that's what I wanted to grow.
But
Dave, look in the chat to see your shot of Davis that you've been using all night.
Is it just? Well, I'm not on Wi-Fi or I'm not on Ethernet right now.
No, it was because when I first set up the shot, you were like leaned over to the side, and I set it up.
So it's just been half of my face.
Yeah, I posted it in Skype chat so you can see it.
Neat. That's awesome.
So it's fixed now, thanks to Drew for texting you instead of me like 30 minutes ago to tell me that
it's the new trend.
Half your face was on camera.
I mean, luckily that's probably like my face is pretty enough that half of it suffices.
True. Are we done here, guys?
I don't know. You guys just want to hang out until lineup block?
No, I've got some habanero peppers that I have to plant.
I don't know. What's the problem with habanero peppers?
Did you actually buy habanero peppers?
Swearsies.
Like to plant?
Yeah.
Okay.
For a second, when I kind of had zoned out because I thought you were talking about Clash of Clans or like some Clash of Clans Farmville hybrid game that I wasn't playing.
Don't give Steve any ideas.
Yeah.
We got way too much to do.
Dude,
and he's going to quit Fantasy Insiders and create the new
I would
Farmville hybrid game.
If there was Clash of Clans where you could like farm and like have actual villagers that like you could like mandate stuff and not just builders, I would quit fantasy sports, dude. That would be the most addictive game in the history of forever.
Seriously, Steve was like one of the head honchos of a project called Turf Geography Club. And it was like a real life like way to earn prizes. Like what was it? Mine, like I forget. It just Googled Turf Geography Club.
I'm putting it in chat. The Kickstarter. I looked at the Kickstarter video. It's pretty funny.
Derek said, "Don't bash COC one more time, or the site's getting shut down." Derek.
Do we need to get Derek to start playing, and he can get in our clan?
Dude,
But
Derek,
we're losing followers by the second, so let's just review it by the second. So I think it's just time to end the
We're
show.
just-
Could we create a Clash of Clans hybrid with fantasy, where you would get your
like,
fantasy?
you draft in a performance in a war. You're like, I want Soccer Dave for 3,600. I want Davis Maddock for 5K.
No, I'm talking about like you would have a clan, like we could have an FI clan, and we could take on other clans,
Yeah.
and we play for gold and elixir instead of real money.
No, we play for real money.
But the real money could build a real castle. Boom.
No, you just have to buy the other team gems.
That's that's ridiculous, Davis. Now you're just crazy talk. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to Insiders TV. Tomorrow, Tuttle, Davis, and Napster Man on the show, 5 Eastern, and we'll be talking about baseball and stuff later.
Maybe.
Uh-huh. Maybe. How many viewers we got left right now? Like 4?
28.
Dude,
And 8 on YouTube, so 36.
15 of those are working on lineups and press